Do it.
We are, maybe we're live. Enrique, we're live, man. Guys,
We're live.
This is Enrique from True. You tell us where you're from, because I always say is it True Baseball, or is it True Diamond Science Baseball, or is it True Baseball Science? I don't know what it is. Which one is it?
So the name of our division is True Diamond Science, and the reason we're called Diamond Science is if we ever enter fast pitch, wink wink, all these other diamond sports, we want to make sure we weren't just pigeonholed in baseball. But the name of our overall company is True Sports.
And what did you guys do before? What did you guys do before this? Not what did you do, but what did True Diamond Science do before this? Like, where did they start?
So True Diamond Science started in September, so we're brand new. But before that, we were True Temper Sports, and if any golfers out there, True Temper Golf Shafts, probably the most famous, well-known golf shaft out there in the world right now. In irons, I think we have like 80% market share, something ridiculous. So we've been making golf shafts for 100 years plus. And what we do is we sell them directly to the manufacturers. So most of the golf shafts you get in your TaylorMades, Callaways, etc. are our golf shafts. So we've been doing that for years. And obviously being a new division, we're able to leverage a lot of the R&D and tech from golf, because what our golf shafts made out of? Aluminum, composite, steel and composite. So there's a lot of stuff we were able to kind of steal from the golf world and bring it over to baseball.
And so you said September they've become that True Diamond Science has been in the baseball world, right?
Correct. We launched in September when we launched our youth brand of bats, USA and USSSA. And fun fact, we actually used to do Reebok Beezer bats back in the day. So it's not even our first shot at baseball. We actually used to make Reebok, the bats Reebok had in Beezer.
Yeah,
those are actually
I remember those bats. I actually hit one of those before. I never knew Reebok was in the baseball game. But I say Besser, and I can't decide which one's right, man. Is it Beezer? Is it BES?
I always heard Beezer, so that's what I go with.
I don't know. And you guys also do, not you, but there's also like a big lacrosse line, right? It's the same idea, right? It's shafts for composite shafts, right? Same idea.
100%. So what we used to do was we used to actually make hockey sticks for a lot of the OEMs, so Bauer, CCM, all those guys. We used to make hockey sticks for them. And one day we decided, hey, we should make these ourselves. So that's how we launched True Hockey. And then from there we went to True Lacrosse. And then we're like, what's the next, stick and ball sport that makes sense? And baseball was the no-brainer.
Yeah.
So that's how we went there.
That's great, man. That's cool. We've been in touch since, I don't know, I feel like it's been September, right? We've been not much after the time you guys opened. I think we saw you, or somehow we got in touch. Maybe it was on social media.
Yeah, so obviously I've been following you for a while, being at Easton and my old gigs, but always been a big follower. I love what you do, and it just made sense. You're launching a brand, you want to be where people are looking at bats, and I think I just reached out to you on social media or something, and you were very kind to respond. Got you a sample, and then you were able to hit it. So I'd love to hear what you felt. I've read the reviews, but I would love to hear what your kids or what you thought about the bats.
Yeah, man. This is, so I got a handful of them. You can see them back here on the wall too. But first sense is that there's a lot of sizes. Like, that's kind of the first, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. But in terms of there's half sizes. There's like different drops. But the first impression of True Bats for us. And we get, as you might imagine, we get contacted by every new bat company in the world seems to want to call us and say, hey, look at our new stuff. And it's fun and we like it. And it's obviously really fun for us. But what we find rarely, most people will come up with like one BBCOR bat. They're like, look, we have one and in 6 months we're going to have another. Or they say, look, we have this new USSSA bat that's a drop 10, right? They have a drop 10, 31, 30, and 32-inch drop 10 bat. It's very rare. In fact, I cannot think of a single time we have ever seen a BBCOR bat company, a bat company come to the space that had even close to the amount of offerings of True Bats. Think of like Adidas. Adidas baseball came into the bat market like 5 years ago, and people still don't know they have bats, but they do. And they came out with like 2 BBCOR bats, right? That was it. That's all they had, and they were really, really, really close to being the same exact thing. Look at a company like Dirty South Bats. They've done very well for sort of a new small company. They came out with one USSSA bat to start. And then eventually over time, they sort of get into the fast pitch space and the USA space. So we were super impressed that if you need a size, True Bats has it, right? I mean, you guys, in the youth bat space, right? Talk us through that for a second. It's drop 5, drop 8, drop 10, and then there's like length sizes going on too.
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, if you're a retailer, you're definitely don't love it when you see our catalog at first, because you start with obviously USA and U-Trip, and then within each of USA and U-Trip will have 2 different styles. So you'll have a T1 and a T2 for USA, and a T1X and a T2X for U-Trip. And then within those 2 models, we offer from a 27-inch all the way to a 33-inch. I believe we're the only youth brand that goes over 32. We have a 32.5 and a 33. And then at another step, we actually have different size grips depending on your hand size. So when you talk about being able to give the player the right bat, we believe that going up every inch, there's a lot of an inch to hold an ounce, right? So if you are going to go up, especially at that youth development player, being able to go up a half an ounce, which is half an inch, we thought was very important for that youth player as they develop their game.
Yeah, Combat used to have a 33 Combat, that no longer Combat. I realize they're bought by Easton, but not their old Combat used to have a 33, but nobody's over a 32, which we always find shocking. So what's the difference between? So help us out here too, because it gets a little bit confusing. We have a T1, we have a T2, then we have a T. Then we have like a T1X, a T2X, and then we have like a T-Star, right? And each of those are in each league as well, in a drop 5, drop 8, drop 10, 28 through 34 maybe on half sizes. Again, that's like 100 SKUs, right? I mean, what is it? Yeah. It is unbelievable. Most companies that have been around forever don't have that many. It just blows our mind, because you have to get every one of these bats approved, right? Like, it's not like people don't understand that about USSSA. You don't just send in your 32 drop 10 and be like, please approve this. You're like, no, we need every size approved. That's not cheap, right? Correct.
Yeah, like USA specifically, you have to send in every single SKU in for testing. The nice thing is grips don't have to get tested, so we were able to get through that part. But every single SKU needs to get tested, and every time you swipe a bat or scan a bat, as they call it, you get a bill in the mail. So we knew it was a huge financial obligation up front, but if you want to do something, do it right the first time. And we wanted to be different. And it wasn't just to have SKUs for no reason. Is we see all these players, and I see it all the time at my old place, and I see it on the field every day. Bats are too heavy, too light, and being able to really give the player down to the half-inch, half-ounce grip dimensions, the perfect bat, that's what we're all about.
So what's the difference between the T1 and the T2, and then the X versions, and then the Star versions? What's the rundown on that?
Boil it all down, just silo them. Let's talk USA and U-Trip separately to not confuse anybody. So U-Trip will have a T1X and a T2X, and then we'll also have a T-Star X and a T-Star XX. A lot of letters, a lot of vegetable, letter soup there. But the funny thing about it is, we really wanted to do when we started the line, we wanted to make one bat that we could then fit across the board. And as we did our initial testing and got player feedback, we realized you really need 2 different bats to fit the entire gamut of baseball players. So what ended up happening is the T1X ended up being more of a 271 wood profile, kind of a very balanced bat. And then if you think about a 243 wood turn, that's kind of your T2, your T2X. So really, at the very simplest level, it's a balanced bat and an end-loaded bat. And then when you put those in a scale, we're now able to fit you anywhere between that scale. So now we can really touch every player, no matter how good they are or how strong they are. So that's how we ended up with 2 bats. The T-Star X's and anything with a T-Star, it really just means one piece aluminum. So those are going to be your $200 bat. And then we have 3 T-ball options: a blue T-ball bat and a pink T-ball bat, both drop 12s. And then we have drop 11 big barrel T-ball bat now on the line.
And tell us about the handles and the barrels. What do they do? What's the difference besides profile? Are there any difference between the T1 and T2, the barrel types and handles and connection pieces and stuff like that?
So the way our bats work, so T1, T2, they're both going to be hybrid bats. But one thing you'll notice about our bats, and actually I have them here, I'll grab it. So when we say hybrid, everyone thinks a 2-piece bat, and this is a 2-piece bat. We have a composite handle with an aluminum barrel. But something we were able to steal from the hockey division is they actually have this technology called SmartPly. And our engineers were able to figure out a way to, most people have some sort of connection joint. There's a rubber piece or some patent technology that goes right in the middle of the bat. If you actually were to strip back all the paint on the bat, it would actually look like a one-piece bat. It's actually a fused hybrid. So it's a seamless connection with the handle. And what that allows us to do is you still get the nice feel of composite on the handle, vibration reduction, but there's no added weight in the rubber piece. There's no cosmetic thing, because all that ends up doing is adds weight, and it just adds another piece that could fail or could break or could tear if it's rubber. So by having this smooth fuse technology, you get an aluminum barrel, which we think, it's great, hot of the wrapper. When we made the bats, nothing against composite bats, because you can get some massive barrels on those. But we wanted a bat that if you have to play in the World Series today, you can go play with that bat today. So aluminum barrel, hot out of the wrapper, you get the best of the composite handle. And then with the grips, we actually have two sizes, depending on your hand size, to really make that grip comfort. Another thing you'll notice, our T2s actually have a straight handle, and our T1s will actually have a little flare.
Yeah.
A lot of those power hitters like that straight down, like no flare on the handle. So you'll also notice that difference between the two.
The other thing you guys do well is fittings. You guys do like sort of on, and that's kind of your big story, right? Your big story is like let's do some real metrics on kids and get them the right bat. And I realize you've been talking a lot. I feel like you're just too many questions. We should just be bantering, but it's YouTube. It's YouTube during the quarantine. But tell us about that a little bit. Like, if somebody wants to do that, how do they get involved in that? Like, what do they have to do to go to one of these? What do you guys call them? You have a name for them. I forget what they're called.
We have a hit and fit challenge.
Hit and fit challenge. That's it. Yeah. How do they get involved if they want to do that?
So if someone wants to do a hit fit challenge, we have about 20 reps around the country right now, and then designated fit centers. So as we get out of this quarantine, the plan will be to continue to roll out our fit centers. Like Better Baseball here in Atlanta, it's just signed on to be a fit center. So once they're back up and running, you'll actually be able to go there and get fitted. We have Monkey Sports. They have 4 stores that have cages all around the country. All 4 stores are officially fit centers. And then Shields in Dallas just opened up. They're actually an official fit center. Our facility in Mira Mesa, California, which is San Diego, is also a fit center. But what you do is you can either find a fit center or contact one of our reps via our website. If you just go to our website, it says Get Fit, find an event. You can either find an existing event or email our rep via a link there, and they'll come out to you and do an event for you. But basically what it is we bring all the tech, all the demos, everything you would need for the fit, we actually bring to you, or we schedule it somewhere. And what makes the fit special, and again, not to go back to golf, because that's really where it all came from. So if you're a golf player today, if you're a serious golf player, you don't go buy bats off the rack like we do. Like, you don't see a golf player doing, this, holding their arm out, trying to figure out how heavy it is. I mean, golf players know what their shafts and their, club heads weigh down to the grams. So what we figured out is, hey, how can we take that experience from golf and being True Temper? We have all this experience with all the OEMs and golf manufacturers to bring it over. And what it boils down to is the chart you see everywhere, the height weight chart. It basically tells you if you're really tall and you're really heavy, you need a drop 5 33-inch bat. And that might necessarily be the case. You might be really tall, really heavy, but really weak. There's all these factors that don't get consulted in here. So what we do is first thing we do is the player would come in and we get all your physical stats. So that's your height, your weight. We actually get your wingspan. What wingspan does is it lets us know if you have really long arms or really short arms. So does that mean, hey, if you have really long arms, you might be able to go with a shorter bat, or if you have short arms, you might need a longer bat to cover the zone. We'll do some strength analysis, both your core and your grip strength. So we'll see how strong your core is and your grip strength. And from there, our patent pending algorithm will actually start chewing the data. So, okay, this is the person I'm dealing with now. The next step is we autopsy their gamer. So we'll take their gamer bat. We'll actually measure the actual stated length and weight of the bat. We'll measure a version of swing weight that we use on the field. We obviously don't have a pendulum on the field. So we have another metric we use to figure out if the bat is more end loaded or balanced. From there, we show the parent their bat. So it's the first time most parents realize bats don't weigh what they're supposed to weigh. Yeah. And I'll be the first one to tell you, there's nothing wrong with that per se. Like, just because your XYZ bat is 3 ounces heavier than it says it is, you might still hit bombs with it, right? So Your stated weight doesn't matter. It's all about swing weight. And I know you're a swing weight guy, so we believe the same thing. A bat can be super heavy or super light, but it's all about how the bat swings. And then from there, where the algorithm gets really cool is we'll actually ask the player, which one of these 5 metrics we have do you want to improve? Do you want to improve your swing speed, your exit velocity, how far the ball goes? We have all these metrics that, depending on what you want to work on, the algorithm can then prescribe a different prescription per what you're working on. So you might be hitting bombs. You're like, I got plenty of power, but I need a bat that helps me swing faster. The algorithm will then probably suggest you a bat that might be lighter swing weight to help you achieve that while holding your exit velocity. So then you'll go, the next part is you get to hit the ball. You'll actually hit the ball into a Rapsodo machine right now. And the way our app is built, it will actually talk to Rapsodo immediately. So after a few seconds, we get the Rapsodo data. It gets put in. Then we use the blast sensor to measure your bat speed. So once we put all that information into the algorithm, it will immediately prescribe a bat. And like you said, we have a lot of SKUs. So that algorithm could prescribe any of our 100 SKUs. The rep has every SKU there ready to go. So from there, he'll go grab your 31.5-inch small grip drop 10. He'll bring it to you. You'll hit your true bat. And when I say hit, you can either do a T fit, you can do a soft toss fit, or you can do a live BP pitch. It's all about how you feel most comfortable. So from there, we'll do the fit. You'll hit the true bat, and then you get a report card at the end, and you literally compare our true bat versus your gamer bat. And it's just data speaking at that point. And then right now, when I say we win about 75% of the time. That means in 3 metrics of the 4 that we really show, we won that fit. So we can show you better exit velocity, swing speed, and carry, for example. We do show you your launch angle. There is such thing as too much launch angle, so you can't really win launch angle. But we show you what your bat is doing versus ours in the situation that you got fitted in. And after that, you get to choose. Hey, you either have the right bat, and our trainer and our true staff is trained. Hey, the bat you have in your hand is better. Keep that bat. Like our ultimate goal is to make sure you have the right bat in your hand, even if it's not a true bat. But we really want to open people's eyes to there's more than just picking a bat off the shelf. There's so much that goes into bats. There's so much tech. Just because you have a 31 drop 10 DeMarini, that does not mean you'll swing the same thing 31 drop 10 in an Easton. Even if they're 2-piece composite bats. So there's so many things that differentiate from manufacturer, from materials to 1-piece versus 2-piece. We're all about just being transparent and showing you what our bat can do versus yours.
That's great, man. You guys, like I said earlier, you guys come to the business more prepared than any bat company I've ever seen, and it's exciting for us because if you think about it for a second, there's really only like 4 companies. I mean, not counting you guys. There's really only 4. I mean, there used to be 5. Then Amer Sports, of course, but owned DeMarini. They bought Louisville Slugger. That's kind of one beast. Although I realize they make 2 lines and they generally work separately, but not as much as they would if they were independent, right? You have Rawlings. We have Marucci. We have I feel like I'm missing someone. Easton, obviously. Yeah, there we go, Easton. And who else? I mean, you got Axe Bats out there, who I think is doing well. And who else after those 4 or 5 companies are there really out there making aluminum bats? But recently we've seen like Victus jump in the game. Dirty South Bats, of course, have been trying. It's been really fun to see you guys come to the like plate and be like, so to speak, and be like, we're ready to rock and roll. It's really cool. And I wish you guys all the success in the world. And I think you have a ton. I think you have a ton going for you. I think your bats, they work. They're good. I think your story is right in lots of ways, right? I mean, bat fitting, barrel performance is important. And this is coming from a guy who feels like we measure barrel performance all the time. Barrel performance is important, but it is not even close to being the most important thing. The most important thing is the right size bat. Swing speed, and this is the thing you guys at home can take home. The most important thing for exit speed, like if we were to look at all the variables that determine your exit speed, the number one thing is your swing speed. No surprising, right? That's not surprising at all. The faster you swing a bat, the further you can hit it. Now, there's some MOI calculations. There's some barrel performance. But about 70% of the effectiveness of your hit is how well you can swing the bat. The barrel performance, just doesn't matter as much as people like to think it does. Although it does matter, and bats do matter, but at the end of the day, it's about the right fit. So Anyways, that's super cool. We got a couple questions for you on this thing. I want to make sure. Number one, I didn't even prep you for this, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. They're asking for a giveaway, man. They're asking for a giveaway. You're the guy. You're the guy to ask. You think about that. We'll we don't have to do it on the show here, but maybe we do like some Instagram, follow you on Twitter or something. I don't know. People get a free bat from Enrique. He will Lysol it off.
We'll do a giveaway here after this. We'll do it. Why don't we do one together? We'll throw in a USA bat and a Utra bat.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Okay, there you guys go. You got it. And look, Enrique's been in the baseball business for a long time. We're getting questions on gloves because people. So, what's your favorite glove, man? This is great because you guys don't make gloves, at least not yet. This is great insight. You don't sell gloves. You're just like me. This is your real life. A guy who plays third base. He says he's good too. So I don't know what that means.
I'll tell you, and I have friends at both companies, at Rawlings and Wilson. I mean, it's those two guys at the end of the day when you boil it down. But A2000s and Pro Prefers are my top two. But if gun to my head, it's probably a Pro Preferred for me.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I do like the heart of the hide, but that's it. You also have. Here's another non-bat question, or it is a bat question. Lizard skin or Vulcan grip, man? What's your preference? I guess you can't say either, probably.
I'll tell you a funny story. I used to be my first job in sporting goods was at Sports Authority as the baseball assistant buyer.
All right.
And I got a box from a company called Lizard Skins with 30,000 colors. Like this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I laughed and threw them in the corner and I said, those will never sell. And I am an idiot. So Lizard Skin, here's my apology from 10 years ago. You guys are the go-to grip for sure.
I agreed. I agreed. I do like Vulcan, but Lizard Skin's local for us. They're actually out of about an hour south of us. In fact, we were going to do a big on-site video with them. We were going to hang out in their shop and do like a really cool thing with some of their guys and like show all the cool stuff they had. But then the virus kicked in, so it's been delayed. So maybe we'll get it this summer. So here's the other question, I guess, for True Bats. You guys are just coming online. This is kind of your first full season, right? I mean, you came in late last year. I assume,
timing, right?
Yeah, there's probably a lot of like momentum. Like, okay, this is it, guys. This is our moment to make a big splash. And then, who would have ever believed 3 months ago if I told you, well, the problem, Enrique, is not that your bats are trouble, your sizing's any issues. The problem is they're going to cancel baseball. And you'll be like, no, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. How would baseball ever be canceled? How are True Bats? I guess you didn't have a ton of expectations. So it's not like other companies who like had these massive expectations and this massive sales force. You guys are kind of maybe just how's the reaction been, I guess, with the fact that baseball's been canceled?
You alluded to it. It's not cheap to get into baseball, and obviously everybody has a boss to report to, and we have big expectations because there's obviously a huge investment up front. But everyone at our company at least is realistic about it. It's a new company in a very crowded space, very regulated space, like you spoke to. But we were actually doing really, really well. We were selling anytime we would do an event, the event would sell out because there's only about 8 spots per event. You can only do when I say a fit, I mean this is a consultative 30-minute one-on-one conversation with a certified true fitter and a player and coach and parent or whatever. So we'd put out a link and there'd be 8 spots on the website, and they would sell out in 48 to 72 hours. I mean, that's how fast these things were flying off the shelves. Our reps were booking events all the time. And then now, obviously, our model's a little different because we're all about being around people. Yeah. And this really put a damper on it. But we were actually able to do we knew that everybody couldn't get to events. So we actually did an online version of the algorithm. So you can actually get fit on your couch, fill out some information on our website, and you'll still get a prescription that gets spit out by the bat that's still backed by our 60-day fit guarantee. That's another thing most manufacturers don't do. We have 60 days that you buy a bat, and then let's say you grow, or let's say something happens, you got strong, or you got home and you're like, man, I really should have gone with that 28.5 instead of 29. You can swap out your True Bat for another size drop for 60 days. And actually we extended it to 120 days during the virus. So that's another thing, that when you buy a bat, you can be sure that for 120 days you're covered, whether you hit a growth spurt or if anything happens. But business was good. We're getting like 10,000 hits on the online algorithm. I mean, people were engaged, people were talking about it, but at the end of the day, our best marketing was going to be seeing our bats on the field, and that never happened. So there's a lot of kids that bought a bat, got fitted, are excited, but we just never we're never to make it a tournament or a game. And I think that's really where we started to hit our headwinds.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's been such a while. There's a guy named Todd on the comments here, which I know you can't see him, but it says he met you in Centennial. Were you there? I guess you were ending through Monkey Sports. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, and Monkey Sports Store up there, yeah.
he says thanks, but then baseball was canceled. So his son loves the bat. So for what it's worth, there you go.
Awesome.
There's some feedback. Here's a thoughtful question from Casey, and I'll just read it to you. It says, a coach and a father trying to give my young athletes a competitive advantage in the box and a competitive bat in the box. Done a lot of research. What technology has made the biggest impact on bat performance? That's like sounds like an essay question for the SAT or something like that.
I like it.
But you think about that while I give my feel. Look, I've always said that the better you get at baseball, the less the bat matters, and I just feel like that's true. In fact, the truth is, you give an elite hitter, you give a Mike Trout, because we love talking about Mike Trout. You give Mike Trout any wood bat. I know he's an old hickory guy because that's who he's been with forever. But you give Mike Trout any bat, and he's going to be fantastic. It doesn't matter, because the better you get, the less the bat matters. The younger and the more inexperienced you get, the things that start to matter, at least in my experience, have been the feel of the bat. What does it feel like when you hit it right? What does it feel like when you hit it wrong? And it tends to be, for younger kids, you have to give them more confidence. So bats that feel better, especially the young and small ones, the ones that feel better, they're more willing to swing hard. They're more willing to like baseball. I see it all the time in the cage. A kid gets in there with a bat with some single piece of aluminum, and I hate to call it some cheap Walmart bat, but that's kind of what it is, some cheap $40 Walmart bat, and they get in there at the cage, and they swing it, and they hit it off the end cap, and their thumbs fall off their hand, and they walk away, and they say, I hate baseball. I hate hitting. I've found that kids don't stop playing baseball because they don't like fielding or pitching. Kids stop playing baseball because they don't like hitting. They're sick of grounding out. They're sick of their hands hurting. They're sick of striking out. So the ability to make a kid confident at the plate, and it seems to me that's the real trick. So what does that mean in specifics? Well, something to do with the connection piece, something to do with the way that it feels, if that's a bigger barrel, if that's just the smoothest, if that's the way the grip is in your hand, if that's the right sizing. I think there's lots of ways to make that feel better, but at the end of the day, it's giving the confidence for the little kids to get up there and hit. Because the truth is, if you're an elite college player, I don't care what bat you get. You could get a cheap $40 Walmart bat, and as long as it's the right size and the right weight, you're going to smash with it. Now, I say that to some extent. The standard does matter. You got to get it close to the BB Core standard, but the fact is, a lot of bats are, right? Especially at one point. And if you can always dial up a bat, right? I mean, here's the Omaha right here. Here's the Omaha BB Core. This is a UAAA. If you can dial it up right there every time, who cares? Who cares how big the sweet spot is? If you're good enough to hit the bat right there every time, who cares, right? So the better you are, the less it matters. But the worse you are, the younger you are, the more feel matters. I don't know, Ricky. What would you take on that comment?
No, I think I think you do have to separate youth and adult, right? So I think at a youth level, really good bat can help make up for some deficits in your swing. But I'm with you at a very elite high school and college level. You can give that kid a lead pipe, and he's gonna crush the ball. Because we got a lot of coaches that have kind of tweeted us some hate that, hey, you're giving the kid the right bat isn't gonna make their swing. Hard work and lessons and coaching is what's gonna do it. We 100% agree. Like if you have a bad swing, getting a fitted bat isn't gonna help you. But one thing I will say, and you kind of touched on it, all really good bats are gonna be right at the line. It's pretty amazing how much tech, R&D money goes into making the bats hit not as good as they could. Like it's amazing how much money we spend on tech to make the bats not so good because they have to be at the line. So when all the bats are at the line, so when every bat is right at 1.15 or 0.5 or 0.53 for USA, whatever it is, the only way to really give a kid a performance advantage is by feel and fit. Because, and I tell people all the time, like if Rory McIlroy went and got Jordan Spieth's driver today, he couldn't hit it as good as he could it's not because his driver's any better. It's because that driver is fit for Rory and that driver's fit for Jordan. And same thing with bats. So the number 4 hole guy can hit a monster bomb with a Cat 8, but then the 9 hitter, who probably should be hitting a more balanced bat, picks up that Cat 8 and can't do anything with it. So different players need different bats. But when you're at the line, it's you said it. I could go pick up a piece of aluminum that passes the BBCOR test tomorrow. But that's where the technology and the feel, I really think feel is a huge piece of it. Like if you, especially at the youth level, if you hit a ball and you stings your hands, you're going to be scared next time up at the plate. It gets in your head. It's just plain uncomfortable. You want to stop playing the game. You don't want to get hurt. Just, human nature, you want to stay away from it. But ultimately, and that's kind of what we do. That's why we do the 2-piece hybrids, so we can give you that feel of composite handle. But we also have the aluminum barrel that's hot of the wrapper. And with aluminum, you can put that bat right at the line. Composite, you have to put it below the line, so it keeps growing and growing and growing, so you can get to the line. And then when you get to the ground line, it explodes because it can't go over the line. But that's a whole nother conversation we can have later.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff. I could talk to you all day about baseball, man. This was great. I've officially reached my lunch break limit, though. I'm at 30 minutes. I gotta get back to not pretend work, but to real work, man. So I guess that for folks at home, look at our social. We'll put together some kind of giveaway. I don't know what that's going to entail, but something simple. Other than that, you got any parting words for him, Enrique?
No, man, at the end of the day, at least in True, what we want you guys to have in your hands is the perfect bat for you. It might be an Easton, it might be a Cat 8, it might be a whatever. But we do want to start people to start thinking about, data can overtake the baseball process. I'll be the first one to tell you that. You can do paralysis by analysis, but it is important. Like if I can show you a bat that can make you hit the ball fast, the ball comes out hotter, you swing it faster, and you're hitting it further, you're gonna have a hard time convincing me that that's not a better bat than your player's current bat. And that's ultimately what we end up doing is, and sometimes we'll fit a lot of kids that are currently drop 10 kids into our drop 8, because when you weigh their bat, it's actually a drop 8. It just says drop 10 on the label. So our tolerances are pretty tight. Obviously, nobody can be right on, but at the end of the day, make sure you have the right bat. And if anything, come to our event just to get your numbers, so you can make sure that it's a bat that he or she can swing through the zone and you're comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, the kid needs to love their bat. They're the one going up against the pitcher. But we really think we have something special, and our bats are going to be 2-year bats anyway. So we're going nowhere. We're backed by a really strong True Sports company above us. So we're actually thinking about how we can get even more aggressive once we come out of baseball. So we're excited to swing some bats here soon, and hopefully you guys can give us a shot.
Yeah, good stuff. I'll answer 2 quick questions here before we sign off here. But Noah, 13, going on 14, should you get a BBCOR bat? Well, I guess it depends on your league. If your league doesn't require it, USSSA will destroy BBCOR bats in terms of performance. So I tell my kids, play USSSA as long as you can, because it's fun. Those bats are fun to hit. BBCOR is a different world. So if you're allowed to go USSSA, that's what I do. But if you can't, obviously that's it. And then softball. What did you drop a hint earlier? Fast pitch. Just give us a date. That's all we want.
It's the same thing. Actually, the hardest part of fast pitch is building the algorithm. The bat isn't that hard because it's a whole different sport. Like, how do you fit a slapper versus somebody that hits?
Whole different sport, and every bat looks exactly the same. And I'll be interested to see if you guys stay aluminum barrel and fast pitch. That'll be unique. I mean, there's some out there that do it, but it seems to be composite's the way to go.
It would have to be composite, and hats off to Easton. That Ghost ADV, that thing is a monster.
It's fun to hit. It's fun to hit. All right, man. Hey, good talking to you. Thanks for taking some time. We'll keep in touch and stay safe,
awesome,
man.
We'll do this again. Always available.
Okay, sounds good, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, bud.
See ya.